All right, so welcome to CS50's Introduction to Programming with Python from Harvard University. So again, this is a walkthrough guide for this course, quite well known, presented by Harvard. And this is online free notes for this course specifically. It covers various sections. Functions, variables, conditionals, loops, exceptions, libraries, unit tests, file I/O, regular expressions, object-oriented programming, and etc., etc. So quite a well-known course, been around for quite a few years, and I'm just going to go through the notes and do a walkthrough guideline of it, and hopefully it's a benefit. So yeah, let's begin. So lecture 0, creating code with Python, functions, bugs, improving your first program, variables, comments, pseudocode. Furthermore, we first program strings and parameters, small problem with quotation marks, strings, more strings, integers, ints, readability wins, float basics, small floats, def, returning values, and summing up. So quite a lot to actually cover in these notes. Hopefully we'll get through most of it. They mentioned they're using VS Code, but for our purposes, I like to present the Jupyter notebook. It's going to be pretty much the same thing that you'll see, and the outputs and everything will be the same. So let's get started. So creating code with Python. So VS Code is a text editor. In addition to editing text, you can visually browse files and run text-based commands as a terminal. So we can do the same thing here. With Jupyter Lab, I'm going to run files as well interactively, so we'll see what we get. So in the terminal, you can execute code hello, the py to start coding. Instead of saying code hello, we are going to do run hello.py. So very similar. If you want to see this in VS Code, let me know in the comments below. So in the next text editor, you can type print hello world. So this is a famous canonical program that nearly all coders write during the learning process. So let's do that. So this is an interactive Python environment. So we can start coding already. I can say the first thing you should do when learning any programming language is to print hello world. So we do that very easily, plainly by saying print hello world in this cell. Hello world. And that's it. So Jupyter Lab, very briefly, very similar to my other Princeton course that I did, the guideline for it. Your inputs go in here and outputs are returned below. I use Shift-Enter to execute the command, or you can press this button to do the same thing, click on run for that in that cell. So again, hello world. Now we've done our first part of coding, we can continue. In the terminal window, so this is our terminal, we're going to call this our terminal for the time being. You can execute commands. To run this program, you are going to need to move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, click in terminal window. Again, this is our terminal. You cannot type a second command in the terminal window. Next to the $, type Python hello, and press the enter key on the keyboard. So I think they want you to write a file, so let's write a file. So we can add a file here, or this is a bit easier just to go to the File Explorer and say new Python file, and call it hello.py. Let's open it up and say print hello world. So this is what you'll do in VS Code, or if you want to follow it with Jupyter Notebook, you can save that and then go back to my Jupyter Lab. Go to my cell and I can type, instead of Python, I would type run hello.py, Shift-Enter, and I get hello world. Just briefly, you can also create a terminal here if I want to. I can go down here to terminal. If I really wanted to, I could do this and see the Python. Okay, this is for other applications. We won't cover that today. So next $, we don't have that for Jupyter, but we can just say run hello and it does the exact same thing. Recall that computers really only understand the zeros and ones. Therefore, when you run Python, hello.py, Python will interpret the text that you created in hello.py and translate it into machine language, which is zeros and ones that the computer can understand. The result of running the Python hello.py program is hello world. Congrats, you have created your first program. Well done. Functions. Functions are verbs or actions that the computer or computer language will already know how to perform. In your hello.py program, the print function, this one over here, knows how to print the terminal to the terminal window. The print function takes arguments. In this case, hello world. This is known as an argument. Anything inside the round bracket is an argument that the print function takes. Bugs. Bugs are a natural part of coding. These are mistakes, problems for you to solve. Don't get discouraged. This is part of the process of becoming a great programmer. Imagine that in hello.py program, you accidentally typed print hello world and forgot the round bracket. What happens if you run it again? We get an error and Python tells us what the error was. This round bracket was never closed. Forgetting the final round bracket required by the print function. If you make a mistake, the interpreter will output an error in the terminal window, like it has here. An error message can often inform you of your mistakes and provide clues on how to fix them. However, there'll be many times when the interpreter is not as helpful. Improving your first program. We can make this better. We can personalize your first program in our text editor. So this is our text editor in Jupyter Lab. We can add another function called input. Input is a function that takes a prompt as an argument we can edit our code to say. So we can add, let's fix this. Okay. Say input function. What's your name? This editor alone, however, will not allow your program to output what your user inputs. For that, we will need to introduce you to variables. Well, let's just see what happens. If you run it again. What's your name? Say Bob. Hello world, Bob. So Jupyter Lab kind of interprets it for you and just something to take note of. So variables, let's move on to variables. So a variable is just a container for a value within your own program. In your program, you can introduce your own variable in your program by editing it to read. So we're going to make this a bit better. Let's go back to our program over here. And we're going to store the name, create a variable called name. Name equals what input we're getting from the terminal. So in your program, we're going to do that. And in your program, you can introduce your own variable in your program by editing it to read. So type it here. Notice that the equal sign in the middle of name equals input what's your name has a special role in programming. This equal sign literally assigns what is on the right to what is on the left. This is assigning what is on the right to what is on the left. Therefore, the value entered by input, whatever it is assigned to name. So we can say A equals 1. What is on the right-hand side, 1 is now assigned to A, and we can use it in our program elsewhere. So if you can edit your code as follows, you'll notice an unexpected result. Program returns hello name in the terminal window regardless of what the user types. Further editing your code, you could type the following. Let's print out the name as well. So print name. What's the result in the terminal window would be, what's your name, David, and hello, David. So let's run this and see if that works. So run hello. Just say run hello. Run it again. Shift enter. So David. What's your name, David? If I do this with, again, say Jane. Run it again. Jane. What's your name, Jane? . So we're getting closer to the result we might intend. You can learn more in Python's document on data types. So comments. So you can go to this link if you want to see more about data types. Comments. Comments are a way for programmers to track what they are doing in their programs and even inform others about the intentions for block code. In short, there are notes for yourself and others who will see your code. You can add comments to your program to be able to see what is your program doing. You can edit. You might edit your code as follows. Ask the user for the username. So we do this at the top. Ask the user for their name. Comments can also serve as a to-do list for you, so they're quite useful. Pseudocode is an important type of comment that becomes a special type of to-do list, especially when you don't understand how to accomplish a coding task. For example, in your code, you might edit your code to say, ask the user for the name, print hello. Let's do this, say print hello, print hello. And here, print the name inputted. I don't need it equals 1 anymore. And this does nothing to the program. It will literally do the same thing. I can say to run hello.py Jane, and what's your name? Jane. And there we go. So it is requiring me to input this again. This is how Jupyter interprets input values. So I don't actually have to even put it here. I can say run hello, and then type in Jane for the result. So in your case, you would have to put in that Jane after you run. If you said you would say Python hello.py Jane. It's going to give me an error, but in your case, it should work as is. So further improving your first program. So ask the user for the name. Okay, we've done that. Let's go back to our code. We've done that. Ask them for the name. And now we can say, make it better. Print hello and the inputted name. So we can remove this, or I'm actually going to comment it out so we don't lose the work done. Or we can maybe do it later. Say, now we can say more add pseudocode or comment, print the name with hello. So we can say print hello plus name. Make it more interesting. So let's run this again. What's your name? Say Jane. So now I say hello Jane. This is the code we've just written over here. Hello Jane. Everything else stays the same. You can use a comma to pass in multiple arguments by editing our code as follows. We don't have to do plus. We can also just copy this as well. Just two different ways to do the same thing. Hello 2 maybe. Run this again. Type in Jane. So, hello Jane 2. Does the same thing. Output in terminal, if you type David, would be hello David, which is a success. Strings and parameters. A string is known as str in Python as a sequence of text. Rewinding a bit in our code back to the following, there was a visual side effect of having the result appearing in multiple lines. So if you ask the user for the name equals input, what's your name? Print hello, print name. Functions take arguments that influence their behavior. If you look at the documentation for print, you'll notice we can learn a lot about the arguments that the print function can take. Looking at this documentation, you'll learn that the print function automatically includes the argument end with a new line. This -n or \n indicates that the print function will automatically create a line break when run. The function takes an argument called end, and the default is to create a new line. However, we can technically provide an argument for end ourselves, such as a new line is not created. We can modify this as follows. We can say, let's go back to our code. Just comment this out now. We don't Okay, we can maybe comment this one out and do it like this. We can say, we could use this one. Say hello, and then we'll say end equals to quotes and say print name. So what happens when you run it now? David. Hello, David. So it removes that new line and prints the name David. So it looks like it's all happening in one line. So providing end equals double quotes, we are overwriting the default value of end such as that it never creates a new line after this first print statement. Providing the name as David, the output to terminal window will be hello David. So parameters, therefore, are arguments that can be taken by function. You can learn more in Python's documentation about print. Small problem with quotation marks. Notice how adding quotation marks as part of a string is challenging. Print hello friend, for example, will not work. And the interpreter will throw an error. Generally, there are two approaches to fixing this. First, you could simply change the quotes to single quotation marks. Another more commonly used approach would be to write print hello and then backslash with quotes. Backslashes tell the interpreter that the following character should be treated as a quotation mark in the string to avoid the error. So we can copy this and see what we get. So we can just do this over here. Is it get hello friend? Alternatively, we can also just use a single quote. It should also work, I think. Yeah, there you go. Formatting strings. Probably the most elegant way to use strings would be as follows. Let's comment this out. We say print if hello and curly brackets name. This is the nicest way to use or to add variables. Notice that the F in print hello, this is called a special line indicator for Python to treat the string in a special way, different than previous approaches we have illustrated in this lecture. Expect that you'll be using the style more of strings quite frequently in this course. It just makes it a lot easier. It's better than using this approach or this approach. So we should get the same result. So let's run it again. I want to run this one over here. David. Same result. Hello, David. So it's an elegant way of doing it, more on strings. So you should never expect your user to cooperate as intended. Therefore, you'll need to ensure that the input of your user is corrected or checked. It turns out that the built-in strings is built into strings is the ability to remove white spaces from a string. By utilizing the strip method on name, for example, name equals .name.strip, you will remove any white space from the left and the right of the user input and modify your code to be the following. So we can, before we use name, we can say the comment here, remove white spaces. Let's actually see what this actually refers to. Let's run this again. I'm going to this one over here. Run that. I'm going to say space, David. Space. You see the spaces added? So this is what we don't want. And what this code is saying, we can take out those white spaces by saying name equals name.strip. This will automatically remove it. So let's run it again. Space, name, David, space. And it removed it. This one, it kept it, but that's fine because we haven't done the strip yet. But this, when we write the name here, it has removed it correctly. So by this point, you might be very tired of typing Python repeatedly in the terminal. You can use the up arrow key as well on your keyboard to record the most recent terminal commands you've entered. Notice you can modify your code to be more efficient as well. To remove white spaces from a string and to capitalize the first letter of each word, you can also do that. So let's do that now. So that's, I'm going to do it a bit different. The first one is we remove white spaces. The second one we're going to capitalize. So we can say name equals name dot title. See what we get when we run it. Shift enter. Small caps, small David. And you see initially it was small, and then I changed it with the title and it removed it. Well, it made it capitalized it. So why did I separate it instead of following this approach? You can do it, it does the same thing. It's just maybe less intuitive. That's why I just separated the process for beginners as well. Can you go further? We can also use it to remove white spaces for the string to capitalize the first letter. We can put this all together. We can put this all together into one. We don't have to separate it. We can chain, we call this chaining these functions into one command. So we don't have to write them separately. But for learning purposes, I like to separate them. This makes it a bit more intuitive for beginners. You can learn more about strings, Python's documentation as well. Right, this is the end of, this is part one. We will continue with part two of this lesson, where we'll continue speaking about integers or ints.